Oh yeah, the kids at the beginning. I did a lot of vocal, like field recording. So there's this tunnel up in the Marin Headlands, which is just across the Golden Gate Bridge. It's kind of a old fort area, and there's all these old tunnels that basically led to all these gun turrets that were out there during World War II. And I wanted to do backups for information in there and a couple like random ideas. So we went up there with a stereo mic and recorded stuff. And all these kids were there on a field trip, I assume, and they're like, oh, sing more. And I'm like, can you guys help us out on one little thing? So I just taught them the melody and they got it right away. So we recorded them doing that. And it sounded good. So
really cool. We also had the owner of the studio, John Vanderslice, where we recorded most of the record at, was nice enough to do some vocals on that. He's at the end with Gavin.
There's a lot of guest vocals on it. 2 of our friends are on the chorus. I showed them the harmonies that I wanted them to do, and Ben Flanagan, who's in a band, Trophy Fire, and Ben Henderson, who's in a band as well. Good Hustle. So it was kind of like a friend song, you know, got a bunch of friends on it.
It started off basically when we were writing songs for the album. We just set up a stereo mic that recorded the whole day, all this, and then I kind of go home and just spend time playing them. And when I've heard good stuff, I just copy on the computer and I'd make CDs for the guys, you know. And a lot of the songs actually came from those. In fact, probably most of them. And all the interludes, the instrumental interludes, came from that way as well. So Drunk Slide was basically this like
just YouTube mainly.
Yeah, I think it was just me on the piano going, you know, and doing a beat like that. And Gavin was just weird noise. But it, you know, when we were doing it, we didn't like think, yeah, that's cool. We didn't even say a damn word, you know. But when you listen back to it, I had a feeling, you know. I think Drew really took a liking to it, you know, the most, and kind of pushed for us to do it. And almost didn't happen actually, that song, but
until we got the stereo drums, right?
Yeah, like I did one drum track and I was like, this is boring me. I'm like, let's do another one, and there's actually 2 drum kits, so it made it all of a sudden have a cool thing, you know, and then just kind of built it.
It's my favorite instrumental, man.
I'll never leave this place. No, I'll never leave this place. I'll never leave the place where I was born. Because beyond these town limits, even though I've never seen them, there's really nothing else to explore. There's nothing more, there's nothing more.
That was like one of the first ones, right?
Yeah.
Probably the earliest song on the record. One of the first.
Played it a lot live.
About people who, like we said earlier, do not branch out and try things and leave and move on, move forward, mentally or physically.
There's nothing more, there's nothing
That was actually from a thing I just wrote on my own. It was just guitar and vocal, and that's just a little snippet of it. So it's kind of with Wurlitzer, and it's part of the whole Stamp of Origin collection.
Light Switch was a riff that I just kind of randomly came up with, right? With you.
It was another one of those things where it was, you know, found on the little stereo mic recordings. It was literally like, I think it was like 4 seconds. Just Mark probably bored, not even thinking.
Yeah, I was purposely going for an older 1950s kind of Americana, just for fun, you know. And I think I took it less seriously than I think you were the one that said that you liked it.
That one almost didn't make it too kind of
Yeah.
at the beginning, but I'm glad it's on there.
It
It's
was
a little
just
more
refreshing.
free and open. It's not really trying to be anything other than what it is, you know, which is cool about it.
It's kind of bluesy.
Wait for me, you're on to something. Maybe there's no need to play catch up,
Gathering Pebbles, yeah.
I can tell the story about this one. This was getting sick of real drums in the writing process, probably going nuts like a year into it. And just one day I was just playing a little beat on the keyboard, you know? And Mark just basically had that brown, 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 brown. And I was just like, there was an identity. I think for us, like once we know there's an identity of a piece, then it's worth working on first off, you know, and then it becomes a song. And it just takes certain things like a really good beat, a good bass line, a good little. That was basically it, you know. And Gavin was doing weird like octave effects with his voice.
I also really liked how it was probably the first time ever that Drew started following the vocal melody. I mean, you always think of bass.
I swear. Bass
Is like here and you have melody here, but it's the first time where the vocals and the bass come in and they're together. You know, the parallel, which we never done.
for me while I play catch up,
kind of
Information was originally from the Waterborne score that Dino and I did, which is not instrumental, sorry, no drums and very dark and slow. So we decided, well, it's such a great melody and feeling, could it be a kind of more of a rock song? So we sped it up a bit and gave it some nice drums, and Gavin had an amazing chorus melody that we used.
That was also derived from another kind of just computer recording we had done, and that was the chorus. It actually sounds much different as is, but I mean, it used to have verses and a whole song basically. I even like this song a lot. I mean, it's a really poor recording and everything, but
Was it inspired by sitting on the dock of the bay?
yeah.
we're all to blame.
Savior was written about a friend of ours who was murdered, and it was kind of very spontaneous, no lyrics written down. We just went in, and it was kind of the first thing that came to mind, so it was almost just like an improv about the situation, which I kind of regretted a little bit in the studio because I'm like, oh, I wish I could tweak these lyrics a little more, and I actually tried to do that, and it just didn't come off as well as it
What were you
was,
trying to do?
basically. Huh?
I know what were you trying to do with that? When you changed the lyrics.
I don't know, I just tried different verse ideas and things like that, and we ended up just going back to the original way because it just feels a little fragmented, but I mean, now looking back, it is kind of cool. It was the initial reaction to that news, kind of, and it is what it is, you know.
That was you and I, just guitar riff, right?
Yeah, Just another one.
That was another one where we didn't think anything of it until you listen back and you're like, well, it just has a feeling, you know? And
There's a
Studio drum
modded
sound.
speak and spell on it, and that's where the REOK came from.
circuit bending, yeah.
Coming up with letters that could actually say a phrase, basically. So. That was another pretty spontaneous one. I think
Yeah.
you and I kind of just had that going, right?
I think it was really just written around the bass part, you know? And,
I just
Yeah.
improv'd
I mean,
chorus into a post-chorus, maybe even the verse into a chorus. I mean, it was just
There's certain
They're
times-
actually really old lyrics. They're lyrics from our last record that I had, but I liked them and I thought it fit this record more, and I figured I'd dig them up.
Special when I die, so I'll just go on living my
This one's different. We started out writing the tablature of it first. We didn't know what it was going to sound like. We just picked random numbers and kind of put them together.
It was a rock song to begin with, too. we did that, but it was like a, right? It was like a, if I remember, it was like a, you know, it's trying to be a little more loud. Fuck. God, you can't just roll that shit. Yeah, it was a rock song, and then we didn't like it. So, but we liked the lyrics and we liked the melody, so we, I don't know, we kind of brought it down more to.
It's experimental.
jammed
It was-
out too, I think.
Yeah.
Mark was somewhere, and I was playing guitar.
Yeah, I
he
wasn't
was
there.
doing
was on-
Nord, and I was
yeah,
doing the
on
bass.
Nord, and we kind of just
That's right.
we're just screwing around, you
was
know. And I
watching
was singing
Arsenal.
those lyrics over what we were doing, and that's how it evolved.
It's just like a real simple kind of groove, and it's sometimes for us it's exciting to try to, can we take something really really simple and still make it interesting and really unique?
So then you can
Because we
use-
listen to like great like Peter Gabriel or like a lot of this great music. We've kind of studied a lot of these songs, especially on this record. We kind of studied other songs, and what we kind of found is like a lot of this music that it's about the production and the voice and the lyrics that really give it a unique identity. But a lot of songs are just, if you strip them down, they're simple, just blues, like bass lines that are very similar, you know?
my favorite drum sounds probably on the record.
Great drum
Yeah.
sounds this morning.
Yeah, but that song
A
probably
lot of
wouldn't have made
space
it.
too. It's part of how it's written too. There's a lot of space for the tones to come through. You
A
know.
bunch of stupid guitars.
All right, we had friends play on that as well. Saxophone player actually lives in Berlin part of the year, and then San Francisco the rest. But
They played with us last time. Right?
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
elderly gentlemen.
I met him in a cafe in North Beach in San Francisco because his wife was a fan. She's German, and they're good people. They're fun.
That song definitely wouldn't have made the album if it weren't for Matt's really great skills on like, especially like drum recordings, you know? Like that, he just had such a
Yeah.
great, I mean, him and I worked really closely together, but I mean, he is the engineer, you know, and he just, that's kind of the sound we're going for, like a little gated room, kind of old like sound, and he did it, but made it unique, not sound, it doesn't sound like it's ripping something off, you know, so.
I think that's one of the first songs where Anton Patzner kind of is featured too, as the violinist.
Oh, yeah.
And his brother, Louis Patzner, are in a band called Judgment Day, and they lent huge talent to this record. There's strings,
Amazing.
cello, and
You should
violin.
check out that band.
Brothers,
Yeah.
and they're just incredible. So
They're metal on a cello and a violin.
Yeah,
with a
Drummer
It's
is
amazing.
We're gonna bring him over here whenever we do like a real headliner for sure. Like we know Germany will love him. Like they're gonna love him more than us.
amazing live show.
That happened on some of the U.S. tours. Like they just get a crowd going like no one else. Yeah.
It's just it's so unique, you know. It's amazing. was, I mean, same idea. These are all kind of coming from the same place. There were pieces of other songs that didn't make the record or weren't really in a complete enough form to do so, you know. So, but we like the melodies and chord progression and so on. So.
What a show. Take a look around, everything you found will be gone someday.
That's what Dino and I, mainly Dino, coming up with just an insane, basically just having fun with an insane kind of piano bass thing, right?
Yeah, just getting kind of circusy.
Originally it was kind of a joke. It was a sequel to, was it Crosswind Minuet off Leitmotif. It was a joke that we were like part 2 of that. But then we got in the studio and we had Judgment Day, Lewis and Anton play on it, and it just sounded incredible.
And the name was named by fans. On
Right,
our last
that's right.
record, Drew put together a scavenger hunt. There's all these clues within paintings and stuff, and 2 guys ended up finding it, and you know, they got to name the song. So the song names derived from their experience trying to find it.
I think it's kind of influenced by a band called Sleepy Time Gorilla Museum too, but
Yeah.
That almost didn't make the record, but
As of like a week ago.
as of a week ago.
That's great.
But yeah, I mean,
one of the last ones written.
I'm glad it's on there now because it's different and kind of a, you know, it's easy to sit back and, you know, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Nice.
Kind
No-
of just
yeah,
rock
no,
songs, you know.
No drums, no real rhythm section for once is nice, you know, on the record.
There's somewhere that you can go. It's obvious, well, it's apparent. It's right in front of you, so reach out and take it. And just let go.
We don't have much to say about this song.
Almost didn't make the record.
Quotes is a big rock song that took forever to write because we didn't know how to do the chorus, and Dino came up with the whole slowing down part, which we all loved, but it became very difficult, but it turned out great.
The only reason it made the record is because we spent so much damn time on it.
And it's, you know,
That's
kind of
good.
like a journey song. It's, I mean, not the band, but the song goes through all these different changes, and I think a lot of our old bands from like Leitmotif and stuff will appreciate it. So it's kind of reminds me of our basis of our career, where we came from.
It's a combination of a couple things. Where did it start?
This
Started
piece was
with
separate from the. Did we even talk about the
lead.
film?
Was it a guitar?
No, well, Gavin had the looping, busy guitar part, and him and I worked on that. But that was kind of put aside for a while, and you had the
music.
bass progression.
You remixed it,
and I
then we
figured
did
out
3/4.
Yeah, then I figured out. Basically, Gavin had the guitar part, loopy, busy, fun, because you can't tell where it starts, And one day I figured out that you can put a bass line underneath it. And then Dino had this other bass line. I said, well, let's put them together, and it became that. And then just the sound of it overall, I was trying to go for the Pink Floyd Live at Pompeii times 20.
Sitting in the sand, watch the tide roll up. Take a deep breath in as your past fades out. Let everything else just fade into the horizon. When the
Yeah, that one we felt summed up the record really well, and so I put a hand recorder at the end, kind of going over a lot of fragmented lyrics from throughout the record, and I think I had the guitar lead from, it was over something else.
That was Pessimistic.
Yeah, it was actually part of
So
Pessimistic.
it had a final, it sums up the record really well. We felt like it had a lot of closure to it, and it ends, it feels like an ending, so.
Yeah, they used to
right
be
away.
flip-flopped actually, down in the cellar was, but then we switched it back.